Hi, welcome to this special episode of the Basta Bitcoin podcast. If you will recall, dun sa first episode of this podcast, I said that every month I'll talk about a social issue that is not directly related to the Bitcoin monetary network. For this particular episode, I'll focus on a topic that is quite close to my heart, the West Philippine Sea. I have a singular recommendation for President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., and it is for him to select a point person or coordinator for West Philippine Sea issues. Why am I making this recommendation? If you look back at the way presidents have handled West Philippine Sea issues, ang mapapansin nyo, it's always been ad hoc. So, since the time of President Ramos to the time of President Erap, and then GMA, and then President Aquino, and then President Duterte, and today, it's really only when there are special incidents or events that happen in the West Philippine Sea that you hear the president talk about the West Philippine Sea or a high ranking official. So ultimately, it's really the president who is the point person in the West Philippine Sea because he is the chief executive, he is the commander in chief, and the chief architect of our foreign policy. But of course, you cannot expect the president to deal with the West Philippine Sea on a full-time basis. Kaya naman normally and historically as well, kinukomiti yung West Philippine Sea matters. Whether it was during the time of Pinoy or President Bongbong Marcos, it's really the executive secretary who is essentially the default coordinator. So during the time of Pinoy, it was E.S. Ochoa, and today it's C.J. Bersamin. Both of them, of course, are highly competent and brilliant. But you have to remember that the executive secretary is the little president. All the problems of government are the problems of the president, are the problems of the executive secretary, which means that they're just too busy to focus on the West Philippine Sea. Then you have the Secretary of Justice. During the time of Pinoy, it was Senator Laila de Lima. And today it's Secretary Remulla. The SOJ is a very busy person handling all criminal matters and requests for opinion. You also cannot expect them to focus on West Philippine Sea issues. You also have the Secretary of National Defense, who is naturally concerned with national security. But the Secretary of National Defense cannot be expected to focus on the legal aspects or the communications aspects of the case. And then finally, you have the Solicitor General. The Solicitor General is the agent of the Republic in case of an arbitration. But habang wala pa yung arbitration, the Solicitor General, of course, has to focus on other cases. Just to give you a trivia, during my time as Solicitor General, I in fact even formally requested the President to not appoint me as the agent in the West Philippine Sea arbitration. In my case, I felt that I was too young. I was only 40 years old at the time when I was appointed Solicitor General. I was also rather busy with some big cases, and the case was just too controversial and noisy. So ultimately, the president appointed me as the agent for the arbitration. So I took on the hat of a good soldier and handled the case the best way I could. But again, the larger point here is that the executive secretary, the SOJ, the SND, and the Solicitor General, they're all very busy people, and there's really no way for you to expect, for the nation to expect them to dedicate their time, their full time to West Philippine Sea issues. Notwithstanding na it's of paramount concern, it is of transcendental importance. Kaya naman, nako-committee lang siya. No? Um, this is the reason why I am recommending to the president that he appoint, a coordinator or a point person for the West Philippine Sea issues. It's similar to the concern raised by Senate President Chis Escudero to appoint a spokesperson. But my recommendation is actually quite larger because a coordinator will have the power to coordinate, right, with all government agencies and make reports and recommendations to the president. That point person or coordinator can also act as the official spokesperson of the president. That way, we can have some kind of a whole of nation approach to the West Philippine Sea. Dahil the issues are just so large and so paramount and requires full time, no, a kind of effort na hindi pwedeng ibigay lang sa a cabinet secretary who is already quite busy performing his regular tasks. So FYI lang, and just to be clear, no, my recommendations for the president to select a point person. I'm not applying for the job. I'm not interested. I think I've already done my part for the Republic when I served as agent. But I think the president, can select someone that he can trust, someone he can confide in, who will have the wisdom and the gravitas to coordinate efforts towards protecting the national interest. Because ultimately, our goal here is to have a whole of nation approach towards not just protecting the West Philippine Sea, but securing the national interest. And I think one important way to do that is by selecting a point person. It's a purely administrative decision on the part of the president, but I think that will help push our national interest, in a way that it's not being addressed today. Yun lang. Thank you.